Yo. What's happening, people? What's good, world? This your boy, JWillDoIt, back in the man cave for yet another edition of, Man Cave Talk, where we man up to mental illness. And today, man, I got a real good show for you guys today, man. We're going to tap into my childhood. Today's show, the topic is mental health and how our childhood and or upbringing negatively and or positively affected it. All right. So we're going to talk about how we were raised and our culture, our traditions, our parenting, how that affected our mental health, whether it was the lack thereof. I know I was raised in a single family household, which had a huge effect on my mental health. And we're going to dab into that a little bit, because a lot of the mental health that we suffer from and deal with, people, it's not necessarily our fault. You know what I mean? A lot of conditions that we were born in cause PTSD, depression, anxiety, all types of stuff. So we're going to delve into my actual childhood and see if we can find out if any of my childhood led to my mental illness. All right, so I'm gonna light this thing up. First off, I want to give thanks and honor to God. Thank Him for waking me up this morning, giving me breath in my body, closing me in my mind, good health and strength. I want to thank for all my listeners. I thank you for all my supporters, and I also thank God for giving me the will and the gift to be able to speak and come to you guys every week in hopes of saving just that one person. You know what I mean? So we're going to go ahead and get into today's show. Now, as a kid, if most people ask, if anybody asks, honestly, I feel like my childhood was perfect and that I had a wonderful childhood, because I don't have any bad memories at home, per se, of my childhood. All right? So for the most part, my childhood was pretty good. Well, at least that's what I thought. Now, before I started seeing my therapist and my counselor, I thought that everything, how I was raised, was just perfect. I felt like what I didn't have, if I didn't know what I didn't know, it didn't bother me. You know what I mean? But honestly, I wasn't that type of thinker. I felt like, why can't I have the nice cars? Why can't I have the nice homes? And that's why I work so hard. So my upbringing had a lot of positive, but today we're going to focus on the mental health aspect of my upbringing. Now, most of you all know I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I was born in Atlanta, 19-something, Crawford Loan Memorial Hospital. From the west side of Atlanta, Allen Temple. Anybody know about Atlanta, Allen Temple? It's right there on M.L. King. So that's west side of Atlanta. That's where I'm originally from. But I was raised in Waynesboro, Georgia. My mom moved us to Waynesboro as a kid. Now, one of those reasons that I found out later in life that she moved us had a lot to do with my dad. But then it also had a lot to do with the fact that my mom, who had given her life to the Lord, I think, if I'm not mistaken, a few years prior to me being born, decided that God had said that it was time to move to Waynesboro, so we moved. But I want to touch on the fact that my father, which I love him dearly, he's still alive, he wasn't there. And now my sisters, for the most part, they saw I know my sister Toya, her dad, she had a great relationship with her dad, and her dad always did for her, paid child support, came to see her, came to pick her up, made sure she knew her other side of the family and all of that good stuff. Mika, she saw her dad, he paid child support. But me, on the other hand, my dad was missing. And now I didn't know how that affected me in a negative way until later in life, but it did. So what we're going to do, we're going to run and we're going to holler at the little sponsors, man, because my sponsors helping me stay on the air. We're going to pay some bills, and then we coming right back, all right? See you in a second. All right, people, we are back from our break from our sponsors. Thank you guys for returning back to the man cave with me. And before we left, we was going to get into my fatherless childhood. So when we were in Atlanta, my dad was still in Atlanta. But I honestly would see my Uncle Ernest and my Uncle Robert Earl a lot more than I saw my pops. And as I got older, I realized that my uncles were really just trying to have a presence there since my dad wasn't really there. But I would see him ride around. I remember, it's crazy, but I remember a little glimpse of him riding around in this big ass car with this Jerry curl. I always thought he was the coolest mug running through Allen Temple, man. And just wanted to know him, you know what I'm saying? But I see him in passing, he'd come get me once every blue moon. But one of the things that really affect me, and I didn't realize this until recently, was there would be times, and I remember it vividly, where the three of us would be sitting. When I say the three of us, that's me and my two sisters. We would be sitting on the couch, right? And our dads were supposed to be coming to get all three of us, right? So Toya dad would always be the first one to come, so she'd be the first one out the door, going boom, bam, everything cool. Then Mika go, boom, bam, boom, everything cool. So I'm sitting there, hour pass. No sign of my dad. 2 hours pass. No sign of my dad. 3 hours pass. No sign of my dad. 4 hours pass. No sign of my dad. Like, so eventually my mom would come in and out of the living room and she'd be like, babe, won't you just come and go to bed? You know what I mean? Won't you come on and get into bed? He's not coming. You know what I mean? Maybe he got tied up or something happened. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you'll see him again and we'll ask what happened. And I would sit down and be like, no, Mom, he coming. I know he coming. You know what I mean? He said last time when he didn't come that he was coming. Like, you know what I mean? Because every time he said he was coming. There's not one time that I can remember where he said he was coming to get me and he actually got me. I didn't realize until later that not only did that affect me emotionally, but mentally it screwed me up too, because I didn't understand, and it caused me to have a temper growing up as well. I didn't understand why my father was right there, and I seen him riding around, and why he would say he's coming to get me, and he wouldn't get me. But yet, my sister's dad, you know what I'm saying, they would leave, and then they'll come back with all this stuff, you know what I'm saying, gifts and toys and stuff, and I'm just sitting there like, where my dad at, you know what I mean? And that had a negative effect on me growing up. But another thing that I want to delve into, because I don't think people realize that how we're brought up from a religious standpoint and in church and how we're taught can affect us too. I know I've always had OCD, and I can recall as a kid where I was so afraid. Now, we went to church 8 days a week, you feel me? And my mom became an ordained minister, and she was like the pupil of the bishop that was at the church. So we spent a lot of time either at church or at Bishop Phillips' house. Rest in peace, Bishop Phillips. So we were always in church. And now back then, like church, and it was non-denominational, full gospel. But my mom, when I say anybody knew my mom know that my mom didn't just speak it, she lived it. You know what I'm saying? If you came to the house when we was a kid and played on the goal or played in the house or even came to see me, the first thing my mama would do is pray for you. Second thing she would tell you is, all right, if you can't come back no more unless you come to church on Sunday, because we would hold church in the house, you know what I'm saying? And I had this fear of God, man, that was so crazy, and fear of going to hell, because that's all you heard in church. And as a kid, that's all that sticks with you, this fire and this brimstone, you're just going to burn, burn, burn. So I find myself just sitting down, just repeatedly saying, God, please forgive me. God, please forgive me. Just repeatedly asking for forgiveness, because I was taught as a kid that if you sin and you repent and before dying in your sins, then everything's all G. And that shit really had me screwed up, man, because for years, man, I would just, every thought came to my mind, that's all I would do. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy. But look, we're going to break and go into another sponsor break, and then we'll be right back. All right, great people, we are back. We are back. Thanks for returning to the Man Cave with your boy JWillDoIt. We back in here, man, and I want to continue talking about how my upbringing affected my mental health in a not so good way. Although it had a lot of good, it did affect me in a not so good way. All right, so as I got older, I realized that I felt some kind of way, and I also remember like being on the basketball team. And you see other people, dads and stuff, coming to the games or coming to pick them up from practice, and my dad was nowhere to be found. And then you couple that with, like I said before the break, me being so terrified of going to hell. Like I was so terrified of going to hell that I truly think I missed the real point of going to church. I really felt like for a long time that church was all about just scaring the shit out you to do right. You know what I mean? And that if you didn't do it this way, it was no other way. You didn't do it this way, you didn't follow this certain path or person or religion, you was dying, you was going to hell. Period. Point blank, one no questions asked. That's terrifying for a kid. You know what I mean? Terrifying. And I couldn't go to my mom with doubt about it. You know what I mean? Not at that point in time. Later in life I could, but it still would be a battle. You know what I mean? My mom loved the Lord, and there wasn't no questions asked. You go talk to God about your questions you made. Is what she would say. Rest in peace, Mama. I love you. But yeah, man, that had a huge effect on my mental health. I'm walking around really terrified to even live life or be human. Because as human beings, we make mistakes. But I was terrified to make a mistake. I'm talking about even if I thought a bad word, 30 minutes straight. God, please forgive me. God, please forgive me. You know what I mean? And that wasn't good for my psyche. I got a grip of it later on in life as I got older and I studied and followed for my own. But yeah, being fatherless, being raised by a single mom, especially a mom that was in the church. Like it was a lot of things that I went through as a young boy and an adolescent and a teenager and as an early young man that I had a lot of questions about. My dad, we never really built the relationship the way I felt comfortable going to him. And it wasn't nowhere in hell I was going to my mama. I'm talking about, my mama didn't even know I was having sex until I came home and told her I had 2 babies on the way, my senior year in high school. Real talk. And I started having sex real young, and we ain't gonna get into that. But that had a lot to do with my mental health and my psyche. I think me starting out having sex so young, and me having an addictive personality, I got addicted to having sex. I loved having sex. You know what I mean? And that is an addiction and an illness in itself as well. So I had to get a grip of that as well. You know what I mean? So although my mom instilled a lot of good things, it was because I truly believe that a woman is not capable of teaching a boy how to be a man. A woman is very capable of raising a very decent, respectable, successful, and prosperous young man, but she can never teach a boy how to be a man because she is not a man and has never been a man. So therefore, she can't teach a boy how to be a man, and vice versa. So it was a lot of things I couldn't go to my mom about, you know what I mean? When it came to them, that peer pressure, trying weed, the peer pressure, selling drugs, that peer pressure, having sex, the peer pressure, doing this and doing that, doing things you knew you didn't have no business doing. And I couldn't go to her, you know what I mean? And I had nobody to go to. So I learned a lot of things the hard way, which in turn brought on a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, a lot of PTSD, that later on compiled with grief and other things in life as that I didn't have the tools to deal with. Compiled and just eventually develop into this mental illness, what we call depression, anxiety, PTSD, things of that nature. So we're going to close when I get back from this last break, people, all right? All right, good folks, we back. We back in the man cave. This is your boy JWillDoIt, and we're gonna go ahead and we're about to end this thing, man. It's about that time, so I'm gonna get into my final thoughts. And today's final thoughts, man. My final thoughts. I'm basically, I just want to, I want to spread a little bit of a bit of love, and I just want to say a few things, man. This year it's been a hectic one. But it's also been a trying one. This past week, man, we've lost two brilliant, musically brilliant and talented young black men who use their talents to be able to provide for their families and pull them, or at least attempt to pull them out of their prior lifestyles that eventually led to their demise. And I'm talking about King Von, rest in peace, and I'm talking about Mo 3. Now, Mo 3 actually happened to be one of my favorite rappers. For whatever reason, I love the Dallas rap music scene. And that one right there, kind of like, that one has been kind of hard for me to process. And how he was hunted down like a dog, you know what I mean? But I'm not gonna get into all that. But what I am gonna say is, don't allow your past or who you were to affect who you will become or how far you'll go in life. The decisions we make in life, the decisions you make now, today, determines the outcome of tomorrow. And we're very quick to forget that at times. A lot of times we react. And if you look at the video with the King Von situation, it was a lot of reacting going on. Nobody stopped to think so that they could respond to the situation. And maybe those are tools that none of those brothers had. And that's why I feel like it's so important for this initiative that I have to bring those tools into the public and private schools and teach them early conflict, how to deal with conflict.